Welcome to the Zero Hour Squared Classics. I am Mike Trujillo, your host, and joining me today on Zero Hour Squared Classics is a gentleman in a band that frequents Albuquerque quite often, and we absolutely love when they come by. They graced our presence twice this summer and spring. Okay, they came with Incantation, and earlier this year they also came with Brujeria. We're talking to Sammy Duet, the guitar player for Goatwhore. Sammy, welcome to the Zero Hour Squared Classics, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, man. It's an honor and a privilege. I've seen you guys a bunch of times, and I've never gotten a chance to talk to you guys through an interview. So I'm very excited about this. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome.
Awesome, cool. Real quickly, the last interview I did on Zero Hour Square Classics was with Wino from the Obsessed, and I've been collecting flasks. And you guys, I showed him the flask that I bought from his last tour, and then he had two more. But you guys had some flasks, so I'm gonna show my Goatwhore flask. I'm starting to collect them, so I'm gonna put them on a big like a wall mantle or something. And
Hell yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna fill them up or anything like that, but it's fun to have these. You know, these really great ones.
Right on. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I mentioned that you guys come through Albuquerque quite a bit, and I got to tell you, Albuquerque loves you guys, man. And it seems like the feeling is mutual. When you guys come through here, you always play a fantastic set. I mean, some of the best metal music ever that we get to see from you guys. So thank you for that.
Oh man, I always love coming to Albuquerque. It's I always know it's going to be a good time every time we come to Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's like a party, man. You guys are like
Oh,
the party guests. You're the house band, and then the party's all around you guys.
oh yeah.
And I was telling you before we started the recording that it was your birthday, I believe, in April.
Yes.
And there was some crazy ladies singing to you happy birthday. They're friends of mine, Regina, Terry, I forget
Yeah.
who else was there, Bridget, and somebody else, and they were all singing happy birthday to you outside. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, man. All the beautiful, beautiful women of Albuquerque. I love them.
Nice. So, what day is your birthday in April?
It's April 28th.
Okay, cool. Mine is the
So
12th.
yeah, so I believe that was like it was like at midnight, or it was midnight in New York or something like that. So it was like 9 or 10 o'clock at Albuquerque. So it was like, it's your birthday somewhere, so let's just go for it.
Yeah, that was really cool. And those ladies they frequent Launchpad. Gina works there. They're fine people. Mimo
Oh
is
yeah,
the other one. Melinda.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All very good friends of mine. Yes.
nice. All right. Well, that was really cool to see them. So, hey, listen, let's get down to business because you have an album getting ready to be released at the end of the week on Metal Blade Records, and it's entitled "Angels Hung from the Arches of Heaven." That's a very daunting title, and let's get into the album, man. Um, Again, it's going to be released this Friday, I believe, October 7th. Tell us about it. Tell us about all the work put into it. It's a really great piece of metal.
Oh man. Well, we would started working on it. I would say probably I started culminating ideas probably around 2018. And were just loosely working on a couple of different songs and stuff, and gathering ideas. Then in 2019, we really started solidifying a lot of the songs. So what we were going to do was we were going to take off 2020 and finish everything up as far as the writing goes and all that stuff. But we all saw what happened. We were on an extended vacation. So 2020, the 2020 break that we were going to take to work on the stuff went on into 2021 and blah, blah, blah. And we're actually planning on recording the album at the end of 2020. But you couldn't get into a recording studio because everything was shut down and the quarantines and all that stuff. So we had to wait until 2021, and then we finally found a studio here in Louisiana that was open that would let us come in and record. So we were like, let's just get it. Let's go. And it was this wonderful studio called Studio in the Country. And the cool thing about this place is that it wasn't like a converted area to where a lot of studios we've been in the past were kind of like, like a warehouse turned into a studio, or a building that used to be a doctor's office that got turned into a studio. This place was built from the ground up to be a studio. I think it was built in like the 60s or the 70s.
Hmm.
And when they poured the cement slab for the building, it was designed to be a fucking studio. So we've never been in a place like that before. We've always been into like converted areas turned into studios, like someone's house turned into a studio or something like that. This place was like, built to be a studio. So the claim to fame for this place is that Kansas, when the band Kansas had that big hit in the 70s, Carry On My Wayward Son, that record.
Oh, yeah.
They recorded that record at that studio, and they did a bunch of big stuff. I mean, there were records on the walls that they've done there. It's a pretty famous studio, believe it or not. We had no idea that it was here, which was crazy, which was like, it was a pure stroke of luck that it was like an hour away from where we live. And but yeah, the studio is fantastic. It's like when you walk into the studio, it's like walking into the 70s. It has all the decor and the wood paneling and all that shit from the 70s. They never changed anything, which was fun. It smelled like the 70s, you know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So it was fantastic. The place just has this great vibe in there. I'm totally all the future records that we do, I want to do them there, just for the sheer fact that the place just is such a great place to work. It's like it's in the middle of the woods. Like you have to drive 15 minutes to get to like a gas station. Like it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. But the place was great. We finally booked that place in 2021 and started working on the record there. And Jared Pritchard, our longtime sound guy, he was engineering the record and just making, he knows what we sound like more than anybody, because he's worked with us. He's seen, the only person that's seen more live Goatwhore shows than me is him, because he's worked with us for 10 years on tour. I mean, he knows what we're supposed to sound like. So he engineered the record, and we got Kirk Ballou to actually mix the record, and Kirk just knocked it out the park. So I mean, that was basically what happened. We just got in there and got it done.
That's cool. So you guys are celebrating 25 years of existence as Goatwhore. When you talk about going into the studio and some of the differences from other times that you've recorded, does this sort of fit as a metaphor for what Goatwhore is going through? Because to me, this album sort of it's over the top in terms of what you guys have built and created. This is a crucial album. I don't think I've heard stuff like this together since maybe like Altars of Madness from Morbid Angel, or even Rain and Blood from Slayer. I mean, this shit is really cool.
Those are big words, my friend. But I think the what you're talking about is that we had a lot of time to work on these songs. Where in the past we always had a deadline. To where you have to have this album done by this period of time, and not to talk bad about any of the past records, they're all fantastic in my opinion, but there was always like a song or two to where it's like, oh man, if I had another month, I could have made this song so much better. But with the touring schedule, the way touring was back before a pandemic, and you had to have the album done by a certain period of time, kind of left you with not a whole lot of time to really play with, you know what I'm saying? To where in this record, we had a lot of time to play with the songs, you know what I'm saying? Because of, quarantine, and there was nothing else to do but work on these songs. So I think that had a lot to do with the way the songs came out for this record, because I had a lot of time to really sit and think about writing these songs, and not really, anything that I second guessed. I had time to really work on it and try different things and be like, okay, this works, or if this didn't work, and just put it back the way it was. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was one of the. It was like a good thing in disguise was the pandemic for us actually writing this record because there was no stress, there was no deadline, nobody knew what was going to happen, so we just sat and worked on the songs and worked on them, and that's because that's all we had to do.
Right. Sounds like the songs, and this goes for without saying for all of Goatwhore's music, but first off, you guys are like one of the hardest working bands that I've seen in the past 20 years. There's been bands, I remember Typo Negative used to go on the road all the time, and bands that just continually album, road, album, road. And you guys, I mean, twice in one in less than 6 months here in Albuquerque, goes to show the amount of work that you guys do, particularly from the live process. So when you talk about making the album and recording it, it's kind of the chicken or the egg. When you're making the songs, are they on the road live? Are you testing them out there, or do you actually kind of have to sit somewhere and say, "All right, this is what I'm putting together. This is where we're going to combine the rest of the group to put this thing together"? How does that kind of work?
Well, we don't play anything live that's not been released and recorded
Okay.
because to us, it's kind of like spoiling the end of a movie. So what we do is the process of that is that I constantly make demos and send them out to the rest of the guys and get their opinions on the songs. Because I mean, the way we work is that me and Ben live in Louisiana, and Zach Simmons lives in Arizona, and Robert Coleman, the bass player, lives in Texas. So it's not like we can get together 3 or 4 times a week and work on music on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just get the initial idea of a song started and send it and email it out to the guys of the idea that I have. We'll tweak it from there. And then we'll come into the practice room and flesh out the entire song in one shot. But, a lot of demos are made. There's always constantly changes to be made and stuff. So, I mean, all I can say is like, modern technology makes things a lot easier to achieve that kind of stuff, rather than the four of us getting into a room and trying to write an entire song from scratch. It would just take forever. You know what I'm saying? To where I think it's a lot more efficient doing it this way.
Right, right. Does the fact though that you are road warriors make it that much easier to go into the studio though? Is there less pressure? Because when you record, I mean, when you listen to the songs, they're seamless. I mean, it seems like, damn, man, these guys, you can tell that there's the 25 years and plus experience from all of you guys together in this, because it's just, I mean, particularly in this album, it's very seamless.
Well, I mean, when you're playing live as much as we play live, it's like constantly practicing your instrument. You're playing every night for weeks and weeks on end. You know what I'm saying? So you're bound to get better at your instrument being you're playing that much. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Do you ever?
So,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I mean that helps. That helps a lot. You know what I'm saying? It makes things a lot easier. And you like it's like if someone would be sitting in their house, which I recommend everyone does that plays an instrument, and practice their instrument every day. It's being like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. When you go into the nervous or into the studio, are you nervous at all? Is
Oh,
there like an
yes.
anticipation or anything?
It's very nerve wracking because when you're in the studio, it's like you're under the microscope. You know what I'm saying? To where every nuance and every little bitty thing that you might mess up is going to be magnified. You know what I'm saying? So the studio definitely it's definitely gives me a lot of pressure. You know what I'm saying? To where you have to play everything fucking spot on. To where, if we're rehearsing the songs in the practice room or whatever, there's always that little bit of leeway to where you can get away with a little bit of some very small, minute mistakes, to where in the studio, you cannot make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? You have to be spot on with your instrument or your mistakes will be revealed in all their glory.
I'm fascinated by the recording process for bands and in particular groups like yourself that have had like your veterans in the scene and such, because it seems still like a lot of pressure. What is it like at the end of the day when you've had just a shitty day recording? What do you do to decompress from that and reevaluate and go back in and put that in the past?
Man, what I do is I just try to get as much rest as I possibly can. If I have a bad day, I'm just like, look, I'm done, and I'm just gonna go to sleep and shut the brain off completely, and then hopefully hit restart tomorrow. Then examine exactly where I'm fucking up and rectify the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. And on the flip side, when you have a great day recording, do you try to temper the highs a little bit so you don't get too high and get overconfident?
No, man, I just kind of keep rolling with it. It's like if I'm having a good day, hopefully it'll keep carrying on to the other songs and just keep going, you know?
Right, right. Let's talk about your bass player Robert Coleman, TA, as everybody knows him. Was this, if I understand correctly, this is his first full recording on
Yes.
this with Goatwhore? Tell us how that worked out.
What's that?
Tell us how that worked out.
Well, James Harvey that played on the last couple of records had to step out of the band. He was becoming a father, and he had a really good job. So he was like, I can't really commit to Goatwhore the time that you guys demand. So I'm just gonna have to step out. And we're still friends, he's still one of my best friends. But he started a family. He has to be there for his kids. I understand that. He can't be a father and be on tour. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he did the right thing. So we're all still friends, and he stepped out, and we were like, okay, who the hell are we going to get to replace him? Because he was a fantastic bass player. And, and another thing, it's like we didn't want to get like a stranger in the band and possibly being some kind of guy that's difficult to work with. You know what I'm saying? Even though he might be some fantastic bass player, being that we tour so much, we have to get along because we're, the other 23 hours that we're together for months on end, you have to gel together on a personal level.
Yeah.
So, we were friends with Robert before he was in the band, like years before he was in the band. We were really good friends with him. I mean, the other band that he was in, Hod, before he joined Goatwhore, we would play with them every time we would go through Texas, So he was a friend of the band, a personal friend of mine for a very long time. So it just made sense, to where, why don't we just get him? We know that we get along with him and he could definitely play the stuff. So it's like, it was a no-brainer,
Well, that's awesome. So it's nice to have that familiarity with somebody and not have to go through that whole process of the recruitment, the making sure this guy's going to gel with you and all that. So it worked out pretty well. And again, it's evident in the last couple of shows that you've been playing. I mean, he's been playing with you for quite some time now, but just to know that he finally recorded with you, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man.
One of the things that I love about Goatwhore is the live presence, the stage. I mean, even if you were to watch Goatwhore for the first time, if you've never heard your music on anywhere, and you caught you guys live, I mean, the commanding presence you guys deliver is amazing, and that is a testament also to your lead vocalist Ben Falgu, who is insane, man. He's like telling stories. I can see him right now on the stage with his foot up on a monitor and his commanding fist and his leather, the spikes and everything, and he's just like telling the story, and you're engaged. And again, that's something that resonates on the new album. Death from Above is one of the, I guess it's kind of a single, or kind of the song that you're putting out first. Yeah. Amazing fucking track. I mean, that's already right now got the buzz all over the place, how great it is and how it just kind of solidifies your presence in metal history and metal lore, because it's really good shit. And that's not the only song, but tell us a little bit about Death from Above and the interesting background it has.
Death from Above, well, I'd written the song not really thinking it was going to be a Goatwhore song, because that one is kind of like has that punk kind of edge. But, I was just writing a fun punk song just to do it. I'm constantly creating music when I'm at home. Sometimes, sometimes the best stuff comes out when you're not taking it so seriously. You know, when you're having fun and you're not concentrating and trying to, work really hard. Some of the best songs come out when you're just fucking around,
Right.
And that was one of the songs I was playing my guitar one day and I came up with a couple of punk riffs and I was like, this is okay. So I recorded them and, I it just kind of snowballed from there to where I was just having fun with it, not really thinking anything was going to come from it. And then, the next thing I came back and listened to it the next day, and I was like, wow, this actually came out pretty good. So I presented the song to the rest of the guys, and they're like, this is fucking awesome, man. And that's basically where the music came from. And the lyrics were from an idea that Ben had been kicking around, I think, since Constricting Rage of the Merciless. He was kicking around some idea. It was like there was this fleet of like these girls that were like these female bombers. It was in like World War II. And they would call them the Night Witches. So what they would do is they would come in and they would go to their target and they would fly in after dark and cut their engines so you couldn't hear the planes coming in. So it was just silence. And all of a sudden they would just drop bombs over everybody. And they would call them, in German, they would call them the Nachthexen or the Night Witches. So that's where Ben kind of got the idea from, to where it was like, there's a bunch of, and it was crazy, they were all female pilots.
Right.
So it kind of made for an interesting topic for lyrics. So he was kicking that idea around for a couple of years now. And I guess he finally found the right music to put the lyrics to. So that's basically how it happened.
That is a badass song, musically, lyrically. I mean, and again, there's so many other really great tracks. Victory is the lightning of destruction, and that is a badass song. That one is hard to unwrap. There's so many layers to that. Was that song as difficult as it does sound to kind of jam to play?
Yes, that one actually was one of the first ones that I actually wrote for the record. Mm-hmm. But that one's pretty, it's got its moments where it gets a little difficult to play, but nothing that I can't handle.
Oh, the other song, and you might have to look on your track listing, is Voracious Blood Fixation. And every time I see Goatwhore and hear you guys, and I mean this with the fullest compliment, is I'll hear the Venom influence. And
oh yeah,
fucking love that. I love Venom. I love how you guys. I mean, I think of like when you think Voracious Blood Fixation, I think of like when they slow it down and they, the Countess Bathory and those kind of just those riffs that are just mesmerizing, and that's what I think of when I hear Voracious Blood Fixation, and I love that Venom, that impact that they've had on Goatwhore.
Oh yeah, that one is definitely a Venom influenced song without a doubt.
Yeah, it's some good stuff, man. I really love this album. Again, you guys got it coming up this at the end of the week, and it's called Angels Hung from the Arches of Heaven, an interesting title. And I was fortunate enough to get the t-shirt before the album's release. I snapped to that. I was like, all right, man, I got the album t-shirt before the album is even released. And that, again, is a testament to you guys rolling through Albuquerque the past couple of the past few months. What else have you guys got prepared going into this release of this album?
We're going to Europe in January and February. And then probably after that, we'll probably hit the United States again. So next year, prepared to see a lot of us.
Nice. I can never get enough of Goatwhore. Are you guys going to be doing any headlining tours?
Probably, yes. I would imagine so, yeah.
So overall, when you listen to this album, what kind of grade would you give yourself, and then give an overall grade on the album itself?
Well, I mean, it's like trying to pick your favorite kid. You know, that you love them all, so it's hard to pick your favorite one. It doesn't matter what I think about it. It matters what you and the fans think about it.
Right. Well, I certainly, from my aspect, and not blowing any smoke up your ass, I believe it's an A+. It's solid. And I mentioned again Altars of Madness, Rain and Blood. Those are crucial and important albums. I think for right now, metal has seen this incredible resurgence, and guys like you have kept it alive, and that's what's much appreciated. But then there's also bands like yourself who are at the apex, the very important artists. Yeah, I know you've been on Metal Blade, and they're celebrating their 40th anniversary as well. And what better combination of Goatwhore with Metal Blade Records after all of these years? I mean, I was listening to those bands on the Metal Massacre releases so long ago, and then I remember your years with Acid Bath and everything. So I think Goatwhore's stance in metal is vital for what we're seeing these days.
Awesome. I hope so.
Yeah. Sammy, I appreciate you coming and taking some time to doing some press for all of us. And we're very excited about the brand new album on Metal Blade Records. Again, it is called Angels Hung from the Arches of Heaven, brand new release slated for October 7th, which is this Friday. I want to congratulate you guys and wish you all continued success. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to talk to or mention on behalf of the band?
Not really. You pretty much covered a lot of bases. Anybody that wants to follow me, I have an Instagram. It's Sammy Duet. If you want to go ahead and give me a follow, I'm always posting all kind of weird stuff. I believe I have Sammy Duet official Facebook page if you'd like to follow that as well. But that's all I got, man.
All right. Well, we always look forward to you coming through town because you hang out, man. You guys, all of you guys hang out, whether it's behind the launch pad or wherever, and you talk to all the fans and you indulge them, and you don't rush away or play the rock stars, man. You guys are very very cool that way, and I think that endears you even that much more to the audiences that are out here.
Yeah, man, just like to have fun, man.
All right. Well, once again, we've been joined by Sammy Duet, the guitar player for Goatwhore, brand new album coming out this weekend. Much continued success. I can't wait to see you, man. I'll buy you a beer next time you're in Albuquerque.
Look forward to it, man.
All right, Sammy, you take care. Once again, Goatwhore, brand new album coming up this weekend. Angels Hung from the Arches of Heaven on Metal Blade Records. Hey, man, you take care, and it was great to see you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Right on.